My baby, yeah, I followed her all the way into the room. And the way how he was on his chest pumping her, and the way how her body was just lifeless. I knew my baby was gone, and the lady acted like she didn't want to tell me.
The murder of Harmoni Henderson. Good day, and welcome back to Muder Mysteris, the channel devoted to bringing clarity, precision, and careful legal context to America's most heartbreaking and complex criminal cases. In today's investigation, the story comes from Detroit, Michigan, where a 3-year-old child named Harmoni Henderson lost her life in circumstances so disturbing that even seasoned investigators struggled to maintain composure during early interviews.
From Friday, tell me what happened all the way up until yesterday.
Well, Friday, me and my friend was texting or whatever.
Who is your friend? You gotta tell us everything because we don't know who you're talking about. Okay?
Paris, England.
And that is
the mama of
Harmoni's
the
mom.
Yes.
Okay, so Paris, go ahead.
Okay. So me and my friend Paris was texting Friday or whatever, like normal as we do. So she was like, these damn kids getting on my nerves and this and this and that. So I texted her and said, you want me to get the baby? She was like, yeah, if you can. So I said, yeah. And she was like, okay.
This is a case defined by trust, betrayal, and the tragic vulnerability of a child who could not speak for herself. A child who relied entirely on the adults around her to understand her needs, protect her safety, and act in her best interest. Before we continue, do not forget to like and subscribe to Muder Mysteris. Doing so ensures that real cases receive the attention they deserve, and it helps keep this channel growing so that these stories can be told with the depth and accuracy they require. Thank you for supporting responsible, factual reporting. The crime that took place on March 17, 2024, was not one that began with suspicion. It began with trust. Harmoni's mother, a woman who had spent nearly every moment of her child's life advocating for her medical, developmental, and emotional needs, made a choice rooted in familiarity.
I was having a hard time with Harmony because she was having like one of her episodes.
So explain that to me. What's the episode?
So she was autistic and she couldn't really she was nonverbal.
Nonverbal, okay.
So instead of it's like a newborn. When you don't know what's wrong with them, but she's old enough to tell you, but you don't know what's going on, so she's just crying, or she's emotional, or me and her was like
She needed childcare. She needed someone who understood Harmony's limitations and challenges, someone who would not be overwhelmed by the unpredictability that often accompanied Harmony's autism diagnosis. She turned to the one person she believed would offer patience and protection: her best friend, a woman named Aisha Harris.
Tell me from Friday, tell me what happened all the way up until yesterday.
Well, Friday, me and my friend was texting or whatever.
Who is your friend? You gotta tell us everything because we don't know who you're talking about. Okay?
Paris, England.
And that is
the mama of
Harmoni's mom.
Yes.
Okay, so Paris, go ahead.
Okay. So me and my friend Paris was texting Friday or whatever, like normal as we do. So she was like, these damn kids getting on my nerves and this and this and that. So I texted her and said, you want me to get the baby? She was like, yeah, if you can. So I said, yeah. And she was like, okay.
This decision would become the defining source of guilt and heartbreak for Harmony's mother. She had no reason to expect danger, no reason to imagine that anything beyond a typical day of play, rest, and routine caregiving was ahead. Harris had been trusted with Harmony before. She was a mother herself. She communicated confidence, familiarity, and a sense of being capable of handling a nonverbal child who sometimes expressed discomfort through behaviors rather than words. By every measure, the choice appeared reasonable at the time. However, what unfolded inside that Detroit residence during those afternoon hours was not caregiving. It was something far darker. Investigative documents, sworn testimony, and the later plea agreement revealed that Harris left Harmony and her own child alone in a bedroom for hours while she smoked marijuana in another part of the home. This decision alone represented a dangerous lapse in judgment. Harmony could not communicate verbally. She could not call out. She could not articulate pain, discomfort, or fear. Leaving her unsupervised for extended periods created immediate risk. Yet the investigation showed that negligence was only the beginning. According to prosecutorial filings, at some point during those hours, Harmony vomited on herself. Rather than responding with concern or basic caregiving responsibility, Harris reportedly became enraged. Witness interviews and later statements described a shocking escalation in behavior that investigators categorized as violent, impulsive, and intentional.
Up at 7. You went in the room and you realized she threw up.
Yeah.
Where did she throw up at?
On the bed.
On the bed. Did you change the sheets at that point?
Yeah, because I was about to lay back down. Like, at this point, I'm leave me. And it's time for them to nap, too. You know, it's not one nap.
Because it's like, what time? He left at 7.
Yeah, 7 something going on 8. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's time for a nap or whatever.
So about 8 is when you realized she threw up.
That's when I was about to lay down. She was still in her little spot laying down and everything, too. That's when I moved the little cover, put my pillow down. As soon as I put my little leg like this,
was it a little bit of thought?
No, it was a lot with food, the cookies and stuff.
The abuse was not a single act. It was a series of injuries inflicted over time, injuries that forensic examiners later described as severe physical trauma. According to the medical examiner's report, Harris poured scalding water on Harmoni. The burns discovered during autopsy were consistent with direct exposure to extremely hot water, not accidental splashing. Harris then slammed Harmoni's head against the side of a bathtub, causing traumatic injuries that ultimately contributed to her death. It is a level of violence that investigators described as rage-driven, and one that prosecutors later emphasized was completely avoidable, entirely unjustified, and deeply inconsistent with any claim of an accident. When Harmoni's mother arrived to pick her up, she walked into a nightmare. Instead of being greeted by her daughter's presence, she found her lifeless. No amount of emergency response could change the outcome. Harmoni had sustained injuries too severe for survival. In the hours that followed, detectives from Detroit's Homicide Division moved quickly.
Isha's sitting on the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Her baby is on the foot of her bed laying there. Like she just there. And my daughter is on the side of her. It looked like she was either picking through her nose, like trying to get something off her face, or her, I think it was her nose, because my daughter's nose, you know.
Okay.
She was picking through her nose. She said, "Harmoni, your mama here." And she picked her up like this. And when she picked her up to do like this, something just told me something wasn't right. Because my baby sleep hard.
Their early interviews with Harris were inconsistent and evasive. She changed details, contradicted herself, and shifted responsibility. As the investigation tightened around her, detectives requested that she undergo a polygraph examination, a tool often used not as definitive proof, but as a method for revealing deception during an interview. Harris failed the polygraph exam.
But when you move her, she moves. So when she did like this and brung her over, and she was still like, she was pressing, like, laying her hair back or doing like, she was doing something to her face. So I get closer to the bed, and as soon as she did like this and her arm dropped, I lost my I snatched her out of Isha's arms. I ran to get my key. She telling me to calm down. But I know, I watch a lot of Law and Order, True Crimes, all that stuff, so I know when something is not right. I grabbed my keys, I screamed at her, and I told her, "Bitch, come on." I grabbed my stuff, I started the car, and I did like 100 of 6.
According to court records, she later admitted she had not told the truth about the circumstances leading to Harmoni's death. That admission marked a turning point. Combined with forensic evidence, medical conclusions, and conflicting statements, prosecutors prepared to move forward with charges that addressed both the violence and the breach of trust at the center of the case. Ultimately, Harris accepted a plea agreement. She pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and received a sentence of 28 to 50 years in prison. Prosecutors emphasized that the plea ensured accountability, prevented the possibility of a lesser conviction at trial, and spared Harmoni's family the trauma of hearing the full details repeated in front of a jury. For Harmoni's mother, the sentencing did not resolve her grief. She had trusted Harris completely. She had believed that her daughter was safe, protected, and cared for. That trust had been shattered in the most devastating possible way. Law and crime correspondent Anjanette Levy covered the story with a level of detail and compassion that has defined her approach to similar cases. Her reporting highlighted the tension between trust and responsibility, the vulnerability of nonverbal children, and the systemic challenges surrounding childcare, developmental disabilities, and the pressures placed on parents who lack adequate support. What made this case particularly tragic was not only the brutality of the violence, but also the betrayal at its foundation. Harmoni was not left with a stranger. She was left with someone considered family. Someone who understood her limitations. Someone who was expected to exercise patience, empathy, and caution. Instead, that trust was violated in the most irreversible way. When investigators reconstructed the timeline, they concluded that if Harris had responded appropriately when Harmoni became ill, by comforting her, cleaning her, contacting her mother, or seeking medical assistance, the outcome would have been entirely different. Harmoni did not die because of illness. She died because of the violent reaction to a moment that should have been met with care rather than anger. Forensic psychologists reviewing the case noted that the combination of drug use, stress, and lack of supervision created a dangerous environment. Yet none of those factors excuse the violence. They do not mitigate responsibility. They merely establish a context in which impulsive, destructive behavior escalated into deadly abuse. The sentencing hearing included statements from both sides. Prosecutors emphasized the vulnerability of a nonverbal autistic child and the obligation caregivers have to protect those who cannot protect themselves. The defense referenced stressors in Harris's life, but did not contest the severity of the outcome.